Welcome back to the deep dive. Imagine a diplomatic chess match where established alliances suddenly seem to be turning on their heads, and maybe an old adversary becomes a surprising new confidant. That's kind of the unfolding drama we're diving into today. We're looking at how U.S. policies are sending ripples across the Indo-Pacific, really challenging the very foundation of the QUA alliance. We've gathered a stack of your sources' recent articles, some research to unpack how these new U.S. approaches are impacting key partners like India and Japan, and what that might fundamentally mean for China down the line. Our mission, as always, is to cut through the noise, get to the heart of what's truly important here, help you understand these strategic shifts quickly and thoroughly.
What's truly fascinating here is the context, isn't it? The whole point of QAD, as well many of your sources emphasize, was basically to create a united front against China in the Indo-Pacific, bringing together the US, Japan, Australia, and India. It saw a pretty significant strengthening during Donald Trump's first term, and that momentum, it sort of continued under the Biden administration. But now, well, recent developments highlighted in the materials are seriously challenging its future.
And get this, there was this prediction from the Global Times, the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, made almost 3 years ago. It boldly stated Q&A had no future. At the time, I think most people just dismissed it as propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Wishful thinking from Beijing.
Absolutely. Standard stuff.
But now, with the turn of events we're about to explore, that prediction is looking, well, eerily prescient. It's an astonishing shift. And it leaves us asking, why? Okay, let's dig into how things are really shifting. We should probably start with India, a crucial player, obviously, increasingly powerful within the QA framework. Our sources seem to paint a clear picture. First 200 days of his second term, Donald Trump delivered what's being described as a major blow to India, actions taken back in April that really set the stage for a dramatic shift.
Indeed. The impact on India was immediate and quite profound. First, Trump imposed a 25% reciprocal tariff on India. Now, just for clarity, these reciprocal tariffs, the administration framed them as leveling the playing field, basically, mirroring what the U.S. saw as equivalent Indian tariffs on American goods. Kind of a rebalancing act.
Okay, tit for tat, essentially.
Right, but that wasn't all. He then slapped on another 25% tariff, this one specifically targeting India's Russian oil purchases.
Ah, so linking trade to geopolitical choices.
Exactly, and that brought the total U.S. tariff burden on Indian goods to a staggering 50%.
50%.
Yeah. Your sources underscore this really shook the very foundation of U.S.-India ties, a relationship that, had been building steadily strategically for 25 years. It was a huge departure from where things were heading, caught a lot of people by surprise.
Wow. So beyond that immediate economic hit, what were the strategic ripples, the reverberations for India's ties with Washington?
Yeah.
Especially in, defense cooperation. That's always been key. What reactions did we actually see from New Delhi?
Well, the fallout from these harsh tariffs and what some sources are calling insulting rhetoric was pretty substantial. It led to a very palpable shift in India's strategic posture. We saw India refuse to proceed with buying U.S. F-35 fighter jets. That's a huge defense deal.
Major signal.
A very major signal. And beyond that, they hinted at freezing multiple ongoing defense projects with Washington, which, would represent a considerable scaling back of collaboration. And maybe most notably, India even began taking concrete steps towards normalizing relations with China.
With China.
Yes. Directly impacting that robust U.S.-India defense cooperation that had been, well, a cornerstone of the QAD strategy. It definitely sent shockwaves.
And these tremors, it seems, weren't just limited to India. Next, the focus shifts to Japan, another absolute linchpin of America's Asia strategy. How did this long-standing ally fare under these new U.S. trade policies, especially given Japan's historical reliance on the U.S. security umbrella?
Japan's situation is, equally concerning, maybe more so if you look at the history. I mean, since World War II, Japan has fundamentally relied on that U.S. security umbrella, played a central, unwavering role in America's Asia strategy. Yet, as your sources detail, Trump's tariffs hit Japan's economy badly. On July 22nd, he initially threatened 25%.
On Japan?
On Japan, and ultimately imposed 15%. Now, this was profoundly significant because, until then, Japanese goods faced zero tariffs in the U.S.
None. 0 to 15%, just like that.
Just like that. And these measures directly hurt crucial sectors, particularly steel and autos, vital parts of their economy. It's a striking historical irony, isn't it? Japan rebuilds with American support, now faces this pressure from its main ally.
It really is a dramatic shift, especially when you think about Japan's huge economic contributions to the U.S. Makes you wonder about reciprocity. or if it was just pure U.S. protectionism driving it.
Absolutely. It's not just trade, it's deep economic partnership. Your sources point out Japan invested a massive $780 billion in the U.S. in 2023 alone.
$780 billion.
Huge commitment to the American economy, to jobs. Yet despite this, the sources say Japan's government now sees Trump's tariffs as a clear betrayal.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. He's already been accused domestically of being soft on China. Well, he's reportedly struggling intensely to shield the country from these economic shocks. And in response, he signaled a clear infinite and improving ties with Beijing.
Another potential realignment.
Exactly. Suggests maybe transactional interests are starting to outweigh decades of strategic cooperation.
So we see the governments grappling. But what about public sentiment in Japan? Did ordinary citizens mirror their leaders' concerns? Or was there a different feeling on the street?
Oh, the public sentiment definitely reflects the government's concern, maybe even more strongly. There's a recent Pew Research survey referenced in your materials. It revealed Japanese trust in the U.S. is sharply declining. Only 55% still trust America.
Down to 55.
And when it comes to personal trust in Trump, that number drops even further, just 38%.
Ouch.
Yeah. And on top of the tariffs, Trump has also pressured Japan to invest another $550 billion in the U.S., basically forcing Tokyo's hand economically. That's fueling significant public anger. Plus, Japan also had to open its agricultural market more to American products under U.S. pressure. That drew heavy domestic criticism, added to the public frustration. It's hitting on multiple fronts.
Okay, so let's put these pieces together. We have severe economic pressure on India, a perceived betrayal of Japan, shifting dynamics in their relationships with the U.S. What does this all mean for the future of Q8 itself? It sounds like these actions against two key members are having a very direct, maybe destabilizing impact.
They absolutely are. The future of QA is definitely looking, well, uncertain. The QI summit, right, it was supposed to happen in New Delhi this year, but reports suggest no specific dates have even been announced yet, and we only have about 4.5 months left in the year.
Running out of time.
Pretty much. Given the current climate, especially U.S.-India ties, it seems highly likely the summit will be postponed. And even if it does eventually happen, the idea of Trump having to travel to Delhi under these strained relations, it looks highly unlikely, just underlines the strategic confusion within the alliance right now.
This raises a really critical question then. If the U.S. is putting this kind of economic and strategic pressure on its own long-standing allies, India and Japan, how is China reacting? You know, the very country QEA was supposedly formed to counter. Are they just sitting back eating popcorn?
Yeah.
Or are they actively making moves?
This is precisely where China is seizing the opportunity. And it's turning into a significant strategic gain for them. Beijing is actively presenting itself as a compelling alternative partner, highlighting the, let's say, transactional nature of U.S. foreign policy under these conditions.
Playing the reliable partner card.
You could say that.
Well,
and we're seeing tangible signs. India's Prime Minister Modi is set to attend the SCO Summit Shanghai Cooperation Organization in China after nearly 7 years away. That's a clear diplomatic shift.
7 years is a long time.
It is. Japan, too, is cautiously moving ahead with limited economic dialogue with Beijing, despite all the historical tensions. And what's even more striking, China has openly declared support for India against U.S. tariffs. They've even called for cooperation to jointly counter them.
China offering to help India fight U.S. tariffs.
Wow. Exactly. For India, facing the impact of Trump's tariff war, options are kind of limited to reduce that economic burden. So China's overtures become particularly appealing, you see.
So what we've really uncovered in this deep dive is, well, it's a dramatic and rapid shift. Long-standing allies, India and Japan, facing significant economic pressure from the U.S., leading them to seriously reevaluate their strategic alignments, maybe look for new partnerships. And this fundamentally alters the geopolitical landscape we've kind of grown used to. It's a powerful demonstration of how quickly the global order can change.
Yeah, if you connect this to the bigger picture, it clearly shows how global power dynamics can be swiftly reshaped, especially when economic tools are used strategically, even or maybe especially against allies. This approach risks alienating key partners, right? And inadvertently leads them to explore new alliances, partnerships that might have seemed unthinkable just a short time ago. The real insight here might be how quickly global power structures can unravel when, well, economic leverage trumps diplomatic alignment.
Which leads a really important question for you, our listener, to think about. In a world where established alliances are being tested like this, by economic pressures, by perceived betrayals, what are the long-term implications for global stability, for pursuing shared strategic goals? Is this just a temporary tremor, something that will eventually stabilize? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a fundamental reshaping of the geopolitical landscape, where old friends become wary and maybe new alliances are forged out of pure necessity? What do you think is the ultimate cost of using economic pressure